Hey, it's Nooch, and today we are bringing you 10 tips to win at LEGO Star Wars battles. These are by no means foolproof scientific method for winning, but these are 10 things you can do as a player to get better and bring more victories to the table. So let's get right into it. At number 10, it is accept the one tower victory. You know, sometimes we get tied up with completely dominating our opponent. We want to go down, we want to take out the X-Wing or the TIE Fighter, and make sure that we thoroughly dominate them and bring home the bacon. But, you know, a lot of times you're just going to win by one tower. You're going to win 2 towers to 1 or 1 tower to 0. And if you get distracted from doing that, you may not effectively defend that tower. Then you either lose, or even worse, you're in a stalemate where nobody ends up winning. There's no towers in the field, and the time is over, and the game is up. So accept that sometimes you're going to only win by one tower, and maybe many times you can really set up a strategy where you're winning every time, and you're just winning 1-0, 2-0, and then eventually you'll improve on that and get more 5 tower wins or more 5 stud wins. So be willing to accept that 1 tower to 0 or 2 towers to 1 is a victory, and be ready to defend that final tower in the end. Number 9, accept some damage. Sometimes your towers and your units are going to take damage, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it. Don't freak out. Don't panic and rush to defend them when you're in no position to defend them. You know, let them take the damage sometimes. Sometimes you even have to let a tower or a unit or a group of units be destroyed completely so that you can regroup and then make another push down the field. You need to learn to identify those times when that tower is taking damage, there's nothing I can do about it, it's going to die, but hey, at least I made my opponent lay down a bunch of units to fight that tower. Now let me put some stuff behind here so I can come out and push back against them and wipe out their stuff. So you need to accept that you're going to take damage and you're going to lose units. And that sometimes is the best way to make a pushback and come down and win. Number 8, don't spend all your energy early or often. People get in the habit of, you get the energy early, you've got 7, 8, 9. I got 9. I throw down my legendary at 5, and I throw down a tower at 4. Great, you just spent everything you got. Now Nooch knows that he can push on the other side with a big giant push, because you're only going to be, by the time all the Nooch's units get down to your end, you're only going to have 4 or 5 energy to defend against all of it. Hold back on that energy. You know, and that's why Nooch says early or often. You know, later in the game, don't just be dropping units and throwing energy out there, just throwing the energy away. You need to conserve that energy so you can better respond to your opponent, and that'll come here in a second. But don't spend everything, don't spend all your energy, don't spend huge chunks of energy early in the game, and don't do it often throughout the game. Number 7, be patient. Don't be excitable, don't get angry, and that will help you recover from mistakes, because you're going to make mistakes. You're going to lay down a battalion of battle droids right in front of a grenader. Nooch has shown that multiple times. They're going to get wiped out. If you panic and if you throw your phone across the room, you're not going to be able to recover from that mistake. So be patient. Stay calm, understand where you are in the game, find out where you can make a recovery. Maybe because you made that mistake, that tower that you were defending has to die. And like Nooch just said, sometimes you have to accept that. So be patient. Don't get angry. Don't be super excitable. Sit back. You know, it's just like a professional sport. You know, you win. You don't get too high when you win. You don't get too low when you lose. You don't get too high when you have small losses in the middle of a battle. Don't get too low, or don't get too high when you have small wins inside of a battle. Don't get too low when you have small losses inside that battle. Number 6, and this is very similar, but be a responder, not a reactor. You want to respond to what your opponent is laying on the field. Okay, so your opponent laid Boba Fett, so you're going to wait for it to come in, then you're going to lay your Luke, and maybe you're going to do some boom balls and stun that Boba Fett so you can finish him off. Respond to what your opponent is doing instead of reacting. And reacting would be, they lay it on Boba Fett, you throw the boom balls immediately, you throw a bunch of porgs out there, and by the time they get to Boba Fett, he uses a special and wipes them all out. If you had been patient and responded, and again, not spent all your energy on Boba Fett as soon as you saw him, you know, that's just all kind of goes together. If you are responding to your opponent, you always have a better chance to fight off what they've got coming, to take on their towers that they've got laid down. If you're reacting, then they're just going to whittle you away until you're nothing. You're just reacting. Lay it down, lay it down, lay it down. Reacting and reacting. I'm freaking out. I'm throwing my phone. That's not where you want to be, and that's really that encompasses a lot of what we've talked about so far. Number 5, have a plan. Trust your plan, but be flexible. You know, you've got to have a plan going in. Are you thinking that if you get BB-8 in your first group of cards, you're going to lay them down and try to grab that middle tower? Or are you just going to lay down some porgs, or maybe even BB-8 again, lay down 1 or 2 back towers and defend those towers? You've got to have a plan. You can watch plenty of Nooch's videos for all sorts of decks and strategies and ideas for how to play. You can talk to guildmates. When we get guilds, you can jump on Discord or into Reddit. You can see what other people are playing with. You can see what's out there. Develop your own strategy and your own way of playing the game. Are you going to lay down a middle particle beam and then put either battle droid factories or Ewok factories behind it? What are you going to do? Have a plan going in. Trust your plan. Understand that if you execute your plan properly, you are going to have a good chance of winning, but you might lose sometimes, even when you do it right. And be flexible. Man, if your plan is to go in and lay a middle particle beam and then put the factories or the Ewok tree houses behind it, and then you aren't able to lay that middle particle beam, don't lay those factories, because they're just going to get wiped out. They've got to have that tower in front to protect. So be flexible. Change up what you're doing. Be able to take that strategy and turn it into defending 1 tower or defending 2 towers instead, because that's how this game is shaping up. Number 4, accept your losses and learn from them. You know, we have this great replay tool now where you can go into the game. You can watch all your last 10 battles. You can see where you lost, why you're lost, how you did it, what you could have done differently, decisions you could have made better, how you could have responded instead of reacted. Nooch usually will go back and look at his losses and see within the first 10 to 30 seconds what he did that made him lose. Because usually it's something that you did at the very beginning that you spent all your energy right away because you were reacting to something that was happening. You laid down more off before he could get loaded up. He got wiped out altogether without doing anything, and that was a waste of 4 energy. You can watch your battles and learn from those losses rather than getting upset and taking them on the chin and never recovering. So accept that you're going to lose and learn from it. Number 3, know the units and know the counters. Especially know your units. But in order to know the counters, you've got to know the units on both sides of the battlefield. You've got to know that flames counter porgs. You've got to know that porgs can counter a super battle droid. You have to know that if you have a battalion of battle droids, you can drop a flock of porgs directly on them and they'll do really well. But if your porgs are coming at the battle droids, they're going to get shredded. You've got to know those counters. You got to know how they work. And for that, Nooch, again, recommends watching videos. We're going to put out a counter video later this week in Jedi Academy to show how some of these light side counter works. And we'll do a dark side counters. Know your counters, and you can do that by watching your replays as well, just like accepting losses. Watch your replays to see what worked and what didn't. Did that flame trooper work against that flame tower? I don't know. It probably did, but go and make sure. And see what combos work well together too. So you have to know your counters. Number 2, have a balanced deck. You can't go in with all swarming units and expect to win against like a flame trooper and flame towers. You've got to have some single-shot units. You have to have those single-shot units. You have to have units that shoot into the air because you might get a Durian or a probe droid. You've got to have swarming units. You need maybe a big tank, but you've got to be balanced. You've got to be able to attack and kill those swarms. You have to be able to swarm yourself as much as you can. Make sure you've got units that can do everything in the deck. Nooch has, more than once, walked into a battle without units that are really good at firing into the air, and here comes that Durian or that probe droid, and they're just wiping out towers because you're not paying attention and you didn't think about the balance of your deck. So make sure you've got a balanced deck. top to bottom. And number one, the number one thing, the number one tip that Nooch can give you if you want to get good at LEGO Star Wars battles and start winning more than you lose, you have to play a lot. There's no way to get around it. To do numbers 10 through 2, to understand the counters, to really become a responder rather than a reactor, to remain calm, to recover from mistakes, to know what's out there, to know what a balanced deck really looks like. You have to play and play and play. And you'll build up wins, you'll build up losses that you can learn from. It is the only way at the end of the day for you to become a better player. So if you want to become better, play as much as possible, get in there, learn from your mistakes, balance your decks, stay calm, respond, don't react, take all these 10 steps and do them, and you will be a better player. And maybe someday you can be just like Nooch. And on that day, you will understand perfectly and you will have great clarity into seeing how it is that Nooch too good.